What's up everyone, welcome back to a new video, and today I'm guessing if you clicked on this video then you're tired of being sunk by a bunch of sweaty crews. Well, I'm here to change that with my guide for beginners and intermediate players to improve at PvP. Without further ado, let's get into it. A lot of work has been put into this video, so don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get to the first tip. Let's go. Now, the first tip may seem obvious, but it is actually to raise your faction's emissary before you go into the PvP. So, for example, for Servants of the Flame, you have to raise Reapers, and for Guardians of Fortune, you raise Athena flag. That is how you do it. It will give you a massive bonus when you sell. I would recommend it. So yeah, let's get into the next tip. Let's go. Now, for this tip, you need a captain ship, because you're going to be buying supplies from your local ship, right? These are so helpful in battles because it can make you have the winning edge over your teammate. If you don't have a captain ship, then try save up one, because this is an absolute need for any PvP matches. I would recommend buying cannonballs, food and wood. They're the bare minimum that you need to win a PvP match. Let's get into the next tip. Now, for this tip, you have to buy a storage crate from your local merchant so you can collect any resources from barrels around the outpost that you spawned at. Hopefully this should be able to get you some chain shots and maybe even curse balls. Alright, now the next tip is going to be about what you're actually going to do in game. Let's go. Okay, so once you've dived out of the waves, you want to raise your sails halfway to get a good angle on the enemy player. Then you want to turn your wheel fully right until you see the enemy ship pass your cannon line. Then you turn the wheel back half left. That is how you get a perfect start to an hourglass match. Then you can raise your sails to proportion of how far the enemy ship is. Let's get into the next tip. Let's go. Now, I'm sure that this tip is very slept on. So, the lantern next to your wheel and the rope that you use to pull up your mast on the left, in between there is where you can actually see the enemy player and where your cannons will be able to shoot them and you'll be able to have an angle. So for me personally, I always try to keep the enemy ship in between them 2 points for perfect cannon shots and also to keep a great angle. On to the next clip. Let's go. Now, for this tip, it's more cosmetic. It's about cannons. So it depends on which cannons you choose. I personally 100% recommend using the normal sailor cannons because they have these 3 useful rings which you can use to determine where to shoot and the range that you shoot at. Now, the ring closest to you is the ring that you'd use when you're shooting at long range. The middle ring is the ring that you'd use when you're shooting at mid range. And the furthest ring is the ring that you'd use when you're shooting at close range. Now, this may sound all confusing, but just try line up the rings to how far the boat is away from you. That's that tip. Now, this tip is by far one of the most important tips on this list. So for this, it is to aim for the cannon line. Now, what I mean by this is aim where the other cannoneer is shooting at you from, because that is where you can get one balls, which can ultimately win you the game. Look at these 2 clips to show you exactly what I mean. Now, this tip is about priority. What I mean by that is what order you repair stuff. So this is from most important to least important. The most important is repairing holes underneath, because without a ship you can't really play a match. Now, the second most important is your wheel, because you need to always keep the angles, and your least important is your sails, because you can still have an angle with your mast down. Now, moving on to the last tip. Let's go. And the final tip, this is especially for beginners, but it can also be for intermediate players. I would recommend lowering after a 2 streak, so you're still grade 5 and you can get the emissary bonus while also still gaining some rep. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for an advanced guide. Goodbye.